Hello, I'm John Wyver. I'm Professor of the Arts on Screen at the University of Westminster, and I'm a media producer who specialises in documentary programmes about the arts and performance for television and the cinema. I've been genuinely fascinated by the experience of participating in, experiencing, viewing, being part of anyway, the Future States Conference over the last fortnight or so. And I'm delighted that Tim Satterthwaite has asked me to offer a few closing remarks to kick off the plenary session. I want to thank Tim, Andrew Thacker, and all of their colleagues at the Centre for Design History at the University of Brighton for organising and running such a richly interesting and I think challenging event.
Enough of looking at me. I've called this 10 Things I Think About Future States, which is intended to stress how tentative and cautious are my thoughts. In part, this is because this is my first nearly carbon neutral conference, and like I suspect many of the rest of you, I'm still trying to work out what the potentials and problems of the format may be. But my caution also comes from the fact that I am most certainly not a periodical studies scholar. I have a strong interest in interwar visual culture in Britain, and with a colleague, Linda Need, I've done some work on Picture Post. There's a link to an essay and 2 associated films that Lynn and I made recently in the articles section of the website. As a consequence, and as I think Tim intended, most of my thoughts relate to the format and the experience of Future States. I very much look forward to the further engagements with the keynotes, papers and debates, and with the conference overall by Barbara Green and the rest of the participants. So it was the best of times for Future States. With the COVID-19 crisis sweeping across the world, it's been wonderful to have one gathering for which one didn't have to erase the calendar entry, cancel a hotel booking and struggle to secure a train line refund. To have been able in these dark days to benefit from the thoughts and exchanges of scholars around the world has been a privilege and a pleasure. But I think you might also say it was the worst of times for Future States. My days over the past month have been an unsettling combination of intense professional activity and personal lassitude, of focused demands from my work and my family, and of distraction, confusion and simple bewilderment. None of this has been conducive to making time for YouTube presentations and for related readings on unfamiliar topics. I suspect that I might have found it easier to have inserted the welcome flexibility of the NCNC format into the more or less controlled chaos of what I once called my normal life. Connected to this is the sense that I missed being taken out of that controlled chaos, of being physically removed by a conventional conference, even if only to an uninspiring and windowless lecture theatre on a nearby campus. At least in such cases, I make a commitment to attend, and for an hour or 2 at the time, I switch off my mobile phone and ignore incoming emails. I know that I could and should have done the same for Future States, but, well, I didn't. Obvious enough, of course, but if I compare Future States with conventional conferences, I have missed meeting up with friends, of encountering scholars whose writings I've read and admired, and of making new acquaintances. I have missed chats over coffee and gossip over a glass or 2 of warm, mediocre Chardonnay. I'm not in any sense sure how to organise this, but I quickly felt the need for a moment when we weren't all accessing the videos at different times and composing careful forum questions and responses, much as I have appreciated all of these. I wanted a point at which some, at least of us, might have come together, if only for a text chat. Then again, the crisis has made many of us more familiar with Zoom and Skype conferencing and House Party and Google Hangouts, and I wonder if for future states there might be the chance to offer schedules, times for such. Embarrassing as they would doubt. Another absence, I'm afraid, My use of textures here is intended to refer both to those moments around a conference's schedule, when you go for a walk on the beach or stumble into an eccentric coffee house, and these I really don't have a clue how to replicate, and to related events that enhance a conference by offering something a little different: a film screening, a performance, a gallery visit. I wonder if the NCNCs to come can consider integrating their virtual equivalents. Fascinating as I found the content of many of the papers, and the standard is exceptionally high, I was a trifle disappointed that the presentational strategies were so standardised. Most opted for PowerPoint slides and voice-over narration. A few integrated performative elements with either full-screen inserts or combinations of talking heads and illustrative materials. But by the later panels, I longed for one or two bolder and braver participants to be more imaginative, integrating images in new ways, using film extracts. I think I saw only a single such paper. Exploring the possibilities of audio or of virtual backgrounds, all of which takes time and resource, I know, and given the prosaic nature of my slides, I'm not exactly leading by example. Here's my one thought about the content of the presentations overall. I was struck by how many employed content analysis of the text and images, and visual analysis of the images, again of graphic design and typography, of single journals to develop their arguments about national identity. I was pleased to see distribution frameworks and circulation figures appear in some of the presentations, and for these concerns to be developed productively in the forums. Discussion of production, however, of industrial contexts and material processes seemed to be far less significant than I thought they might be. And what I really missed, except in a couple of great examples, were considerations of the multitude of intermedial connections of illustrated magazines with mainstream movies, with newsreels, with the moving images of the avant-garde, with documentary cultures, with radio, and, in Germany and Britain at least, with early television. In his remarks to kick off week 2, Tim made the important point about the democratic and inclusive nature of the NCNC format, the absence of fees, availability around the world, opportunity for everyone to attend. All true. But access means other things too, and the format of future states would have been impossible for aspirant attendees who are deaf or hard of hearing. Yes, YouTube offers automatic captioning, but I tried that with several presentations, and quite often I think taking its cue from the foreign magazine names in a video's title, the system tried and failed spectacularly to realise the words in Italian or French. Even with the ones that were straightforwardly in English, the captions were pretty much gobbledygook. I think consideration should be given for future states to providing better subtitling and or full transcriptions of the papers. But, well, the immortal words of Lincoln Steffens seem to apply. I have no doubt that future states and the NCNC format represents one future for academic gatherings in a world that will long live with COVID-19 and that will eventually have to take climate catastrophe seriously. The format is proven, the WordPress platform is stable, the papers have been by and large terrific, and there will be a rich archive for scholars and others to consult going forward. The Q&A threads are also wonderfully valuable, with the enhancement of the presentations and the inclusion of references, links and additional images, as well as, wonderfully and generously, the PDF of Melissa Miles's catalogue for her show Dreams and Imagination, Light in the Modern City at the Monash Gallery of Art. Many thanks for this. I have learned a lot and I've been stimulated and challenged. My own work will benefit from having participated in future states, and it has given me a number of new research ideas to pursue. What more could I ask? Well, that gossip over the Chardonnay and a debate or two over a dish of pasta, as well as the other aspects that I've suggested are so important to memorable real-world conferences, being away from the everyday, liveness, original presentation techniques, different textures, and the simple presence of others. So, I have seen the future and it works. Sort of. Thank you.